Fluorescent lights buzz above the courtroom like trapped wasps. It's 2014, Aurora, Colorado, and nobody's breathing right. Every camera flash cuts through the silence like a strobe. The judge sits stone still behind his elevated bench, his expression unreadable. The prosecutors exchange looks, the kind of look that means they've never encountered anything like this before. The gallery is packed shoulder to shoulder. Media cameras line the back wall in a row so dense you can barely see the wood paneling behind them. Court officers stand at every exit. Their hands rest near their belts. Their eyes scan the room constantly. This is the trial everyone's been waiting for. This is the case that's going to define the summer of 2014 in Colorado. Isabella Guzman walks in, 18 years old. Her small frame moving with an ease that doesn't belong in this room. She's accused of murder, first degree. Her own mother. The gallery gasps audibly. You can hear it. An actual physical sound of shock that ripples through the room. Phones buzz with notifications. Someone's recording on their phone, despite the signs everywhere saying not to. But Isabella doesn't look scared. She doesn't look remorseful. She doesn't even look like someone who belongs in this room. She looks like someone waiting for good news, like she's about to hear her name called at a lottery drawing. Like this is the moment everything's about to change for her in the best possible way. Her smile is wrong. Not cruel, not calculated, wrong in a way that makes your brain struggle to process what you're seeing. The corners of her mouth turn up just slightly. Her eyes are calm, peaceful, almost serene, unbothered, detached. A detective in the back row, a man named Deshawn with 20 years on the force, whispers to his partner, "I've never seen anything like this in my entire career." The partner doesn't answer. He can't look away from her face. The bailiff adjusts his stance. The court reporter's fingers hover over her keys, waiting. Everyone feels it. The contradiction, the impossibility of what they're seeing, the wrongness of this girl's demeanor given the charges she's facing. The judge begins to speak. His voice echoes through the courtroom speakers. The charges are read aloud. First-degree murder, premeditated homicide. The words hang in the air like a physical thing, suffocating, crushing. The weight of them settles on everyone present. Jurors lean forward in their seats. Media cameras click, click, click in rapid succession. The sound is constant, a machine gun of photographs. And Isabella? She sits there, smiling, waiting. Her hands rest on the table in front of her. Not fidgeting, not shaking, not moving at all. Still as stone. Peaceful as someone waiting for a bus. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. We want to know you're here with us, because what happens next will make you question everything you thought you knew about crime, mental illness, and how the internet remembers tragedy. This isn't just a trial. This is about to become a phenomenon. This is about to become viral. This is about to define an entire generation's understanding of what happens when justice meets madness. The prosecutor stands. His name is Thomas, and he's been building this case for months. He has evidence. He has witnesses. He has a confession. He's been preparing for every possible scenario. He's prepared for tears. He's prepared for rage. He's prepared for denial. He's prepared for defense strategies he can demolish. He's prepared for courtroom drama. He's not prepared for the interrogation video. When the courtroom watches Isabella answer questions about a crime she committed while talking about a television show, while arguing about her weight, while asking if she'll be on the TV, while sitting perfectly still, completely disconnected from the gravity of the moment, completely unbothered by the fact that her mother is dead because of something she did. And that's when everything changes. The video will rewrite this entire trial. It will make prosecutors question their own case. It will make jurors question what they're witnessing. It will make the nation question what they're seeing. But first, you need to understand what happened 24 hours before this moment. You need to see how we got here. You need to understand the events that led to this girl sitting in a courtroom, smiling, waiting. Because this story doesn't start in a courtroom. It starts in an ordinary house on an ordinary street. It starts with a mother who noticed something changing in her daughter. It starts with a mind breaking apart in ways nobody could predict. August 2013. Late afternoon. The Guzman house sits quiet on a street in Aurora where nothing terrible ever happens. The kind of neighborhood where the biggest concern is whether the lawn is cut too short. Manicured hedges, family cars in driveways. Two-story homes with identical roof tiles, the illusion of safety, the appearance of normalcy. Isabella's mother sits in the living room, and she's worried. She's been worried for weeks. Her daughter has changed. Something's wrong. She doesn't talk anymore. She stares at the mirror for hours, sometimes talking to her reflection, sometimes just staring, like she's waiting for it to change, waiting for her daughter's face to transform into someone else. She writes things down in a notebook and then tears the pages to shreds. The mother finds the pieces in the trash. She tries to tape them back together, to read what Isabella wrote, but the words are fragmented, incomplete. She writes things about people who aren't real. About Samantha. Last night, Isabella said something about Samantha that chilled her mother's blood. She said, "Samantha is trying to hurt me." She said, "Samantha looks like you, but you're not real." The mother asked, "Who is Samantha?" Isabella didn't answer. She just looked at her mother with eyes that didn't quite focus, like she was looking through her instead of at her. Like she was seeing something underneath the surface, something monstrous, something that needed to be destroyed. The stepfather leaves for work in the morning like he always does. He kisses his wife goodbye in the kitchen. He has no idea this is the last time he'll see her alive. He'll think about this moment for years afterward. The way she felt, the way she smelled, the way she kissed him back. He'll replay it in his mind like it's a video he can rewind and pause. He has no idea the world is about to collapse. He has no idea that when he comes home tonight, everything will be different. The mother tells Isabella to eat something. Isabella sits at the kitchen table. She eats slowly, mechanically, like her body is doing the eating, but her mind is somewhere else. The mother tells her, "Get some sleep. You need rest." Isabella nods, but doesn't mean it. Her eyes are somewhere else. Somewhere very far away. Somewhere dark and closed and unreachable. Hours pass. The afternoon becomes evening. The house gets darker. The sun moves across the sky. Nobody knows what's happening in Isabella's mind during those hours. Nobody will ever know. By the time evening comes, by the time the neighborhood gets quiet, something has shifted inside her. Something has broken. Something has snapped. Neighbors hear something late that night. A sound that stops the neighborhood dogs from barking. A sound that nobody can quite identify, but nobody forgets. The sound of violence behind closed doors, The sound of something ending. The sound comes around midnight. It's not a shout. It's not a scream, exactly. It's something in between. Something violent. Something desperate. It lasts for what feels like minutes, but is probably seconds, maybe longer. Time distorts in moments of terror. Neighbors in adjacent houses hear it and go to their windows, but don't open them. They listen. They record it in their memory. They hear it and decide it's not their business. They hear it and they never forget it. One neighbor will testify about it at trial. She'll describe it to a room full of strangers. She'll relive it. She'll cry. But that night, she just stands at her window and does nothing. By the time the stepfather's key turns in the lock, everything is already over. He walks into silence. No TV, no music, no Isabella, no greeting from his wife. He walks through the front door and into the entryway. He sets down his keys on the small table by the door. He calls out, "Hello?" His voice echoes through the house. He walks through the living room, the kitchen. The hallway gets darker. The light from outside grows weaker. He calls out again. "Where are you?" Nobody answers. "Where are you?" The bathroom door is closed. He approaches it slowly. His heart starts to beat faster. He doesn't know why. He just knows something is wrong. The handle is warm. He tries to open it. The door is locked from the inside. He pushes. Nothing. The door doesn't budge. He pushes harder. His heart is doing something wrong inside his chest. It's racing. It's pounding. He's starting to panic and he doesn't know why. The lock gives way and the door swings open, and what he sees in that moment will never leave him. The scene is beyond comprehension, beyond what any training could prepare someone for. The bathroom is painted red. Blood on the walls, blood on the floor, blood on the tiles. The violence was sustained. It was personal. It was the kind of violence that comes from someone whose mind had completely separated from reality, from someone who wasn't looking at their mother, from someone who was looking at a monster. His wife is gone, dead. The realization hits him like a physical blow. His hands won't stop shaking. 911. He dials it with trembling fingers. "Please state your emergency." The operator's voice is calm, professional. His voice breaks. "My wife." He can't form complete sentences. "I think she's dead. Police are dispatched immediately. 4 minutes. 7 minutes. The first officer arrives, and the stepfather is standing in the doorway, pointing, unable to speak, unable to move, unable to accept what his eyes are telling him. Officers move through the house room by room. Closets, kitchen, basement. Isabella isn't there. The house is secure. She's gone. She's disappeared. A missing 18-year-old connected to a murder. Manhunt protocols activate immediately. Her name and face spread across Aurora like a virus. Isabella Guzman, missing, dangerous. Within hours, helicopters circle overhead with searchlights cutting through darkness. The sky is illuminated. Residents look up from their homes and see the light. K9 units track through neighborhoods. Dogs pull handlers forward with urgency. Her face is on television. Missing, dangerous, possibly armed. People lock their doors. Parents pick up their kids early from school. The community transforms from peaceful to afraid. And in the middle of all of this chaos, In the bathroom where it happened, a message is discovered written on the mirror in handwriting that belongs to Isabella. The message is written in the steam on the glass. It says, "Samantha must die so the world can live." The police photographer documents it before the steam fades, before it disappears forever. The message doesn't make sense, not in a normal way. It's about an imposter. It's about the world being in danger. It's about someone named Samantha who needs to die. Nobody knows who Samantha is. Nobody knows if Samantha is real or if Samantha exists only in Isabella's fractured mind, only in the broken hallways of her thoughts. The shopping center is bright and ordinary the next morning. Sunlight streams through skylights. People buying coffee, parents picking up their kids, delivery trucks making stops, employees opening stores for the day. Nothing unusual on the surface. Normal commerce, normal life. Then a call comes in from a witness, a woman pushing a shopping cart, a girl matching Isabella's description, walking slow, not running, not hiding, just walking, moving through the parking lot with no destination, no purpose, just walking. Officers converge without lights or sirens. They don't want to cause panic. They don't know if she's armed. They don't know if she's dangerous right now, in this moment. They don't know what she might do. They approach from different angles, weapons holstered but ready. A young woman in a blue jacket turns and sees them, and her face doesn't register fear or panic or guilt. Confusion, maybe. Surprise, possibly. But not the reaction you'd expect from someone accused of murder. Someone fleeing from law enforcement. "Why are you here?" That's what she asks. The officers draw weapons immediately. "Get on the ground, now." She complies immediately without argument. She seems confused by their urgency. She's not resisting. She's cooperating with a politeness that makes it worse somehow, that makes the wrongness of this entire situation worse. As they're putting her in handcuffs, she says something under her breath, something about Samantha, something about the world being safer now. An officer asks her name. She says Isabella Guzman. He reads her rights. She nods like she's hearing about the weather. She's calm. Eerily calm. In the police car, she sits quietly in the back seat, hands cuffed behind her. She stares straight ahead. She doesn't cry. She doesn't ask for a lawyer. She doesn't ask about her mother. She doesn't ask what happens next. She's somewhere else entirely. Her mind is operating on a frequency that nobody around her can detect or understand. The interrogation room is small and cold. Metal table bolted to the floor. Recording camera mounted in the corner of the room. Fluorescent light humming overhead like an insect trapped in glass. The walls are beige, institutional, sterile. A detective named Marcus sits across from her. He's been doing this for 15 years. He's interviewed murderers. He's talked to people who've done things that would break most people's minds. He's seen every variation of human cruelty and desperation. But he's never encountered anything quite like this. He opens a folder, crime scene photos. He watches her face carefully as he spreads them out. He's looking for recognition, for horror, for anything human, for remorse, for fear, for something he can work with. What he sees instead chills him in a way he won't forget for the rest of his career. She looks at the photos like she's looking at a painting in a museum. Detached, analytical, clinical. Like she's examining someone else's tragedy. Like she's studying evidence in a documentary. He asks her questions about what happened that night. She corrects him on details about the crime scene. She mentions something about watching forensic files, about studying how investigations work. She's clearly spent time learning about investigations. She knows terminology. She knows evidence protocols. She's read books about crime. She's watched television shows about murders. She knows more about crime than most detectives. And then, without any emotion whatsoever, without any change in her voice or facial expression, she asks if she'll be on television. Will I be famous? That's what she asks while looking at pictures of the woman who gave birth to her, while looking at images of violence and death, while sitting across from a detective with 15 years of experience. Marcus feels something inside him shift. His stomach tightens. His breath gets shallow. He stands up. He walks out of the room without saying anything. He closes the door behind him. He finds his supervisor in the hallway outside. His voice is quiet, but his hands are shaking. His supervisor can see his hands shaking. Something is profoundly wrong with this girl. This isn't a normal murderer. This isn't someone running on rage or desperation or fear. This isn't someone who committed a crime in a moment of passion. This is something else entirely. This is something his training never prepared him for. A psychiatrist is called. The interrogation is paused. And when the evaluation begins, everything changes. When the doctors examine Isabella, when they ask her to describe her thoughts, when they learn about Samantha and the delusions and the fractured reality she's been living in, the entire case shifts. The prosecution's confidence evaporates. The juror's understanding transforms. And the girl sitting in the courtroom with the smile, that smile nobody can understand, is no longer just a killer. She becomes something more tragic and more complex. She becomes a broken mind. She becomes a case that will haunt everyone involved for the rest of their lives. Chapter 6. The fluorescent bulb flickers overhead. Dr. Amelia Richardson sits across from Isabella in the psychiatric evaluation room. Her pen hovers above the clinical assessment form. 3 hours of questioning have passed. Isabella's answers don't match her appearance. She's 18, thin-framed, with dark eyes that seem to look through rather than at the people surrounding her. Dr. Richardson asks again, "Who are you, Isabella?" The girl's response comes flat, rehearsed. "I'm Samantha," the doctor writes furiously. Questions about her mother yield the same answer, repeated variations. She was an imposter, not real. Samantha knew. The world needed saving. Dr. Richardson has seen acute psychosis before, but something about this case unsettles her. She orders blood work. Toxicology comes back clean. No drugs, no alcohol. Just a mind fracturing under the weight of its own broken logic. The diagnosis arrives like a hammer. Schizophrenia. Acute psychotic episode with command hallucinations. The legal teams receive the report. Prosecutors exchange looks across the conference room table. This changes everything. The defense attorney, Marcus Coleman, reads the psychiatric evaluation twice. His strategy shifts. Prison won't hold her. A courtroom conviction means nothing if the jury learns she genuinely couldn't distinguish reality from delusion. The public doesn't know yet, but in 48 hours, every news outlet will report it. The girl who smiled in the police station, who corrected detectives about television shows, who seemed cold and calculated. She was experiencing a break so complete that nothing she did made sense by normal standards. Dr. Richardson prepares her testimony. She knows what comes next will shake the entire proceeding. Chapter 7. The gallery fills before dawn. News crews camp outside the courthouse. Over 200 people wait for courtroom seats. Judge Patricia Holloway enters. The bailiff announces the verdict. The jury has decided. Isabella stands when instructed. Her expression remains unchanged. No fidgeting. No tears. The foreman reads, "On the charge of murder in the first degree, we find the defendant not guilty by reason of insanity." The room erupts, gasps, murmurs. Someone weeps. The prosecution's lead detective, Jerome Washington, lowers his head. He'd built an airtight case. Evidence. Timeline. Motive seemed obvious to him until the psychiatric records arrived. Judge Holloway raises her hand for silence. She explains the verdict. The jury determined Isabella was legally insane at the time of the incident, unable to comprehend the nature of her actions or conform her behavior to the law. The courtroom hushes. This is where justice becomes complicated. Marcus Coleman exhales. The judge continues. Isabella will be committed to the Colorado Mental Health Institute in Pueblo. High-security psychiatric facility. Indefinite commitment. Annual review hearings to assess mental state and potential for release. No maximum sentence. No parole board. Just years stretching ahead in an institution, medicated, evaluated, watched. Isabella's mother is still dead. No punishment feels adequate. Yet imprisonment felt wrong once the diagnosis surfaced. The judge's gavel falls. It's over. The trial ends. But the real questions are just beginning. In the gallery, a woman wearing yellow sits alone. She's Isabella's aunt. She cries into her hands, not from relief, not from devastation at the verdict, from the recognition that her family's illness, genetic, generational, had finally exploded into something the legal system couldn't ignore and couldn't fix. Chapter 8. 5 years pass in routine and medication cycles. The Colorado Mental Health Institute occupies 40 acres outside Pueblo. Razor wire fences, guard stations, 300 beds for patients deemed too dangerous or too damaged to exist in the world. Isabella becomes a number. Patient 4827. Her intake photo shows her smiling still. Staff members document her daily behavior. Monday through Friday, she participates in group therapy. Her responses grow clearer as antipsychotic medications take hold. She speaks about her mother. Sometimes she cries. Other times, she stares through the window at the mountains beyond the fence. Dr. Raymond Thompson oversees her case. He notes improvement. The delusions fade. Moments of lucidity increase. She remembers things now. She remembers her childhood. She remembers the day the voices started. She was 14, a whisper that became a scream. Samantha telling her things. Terrible things. The world couldn't be saved unless her mother died. It made perfect sense then. Now it makes none. Annual review hearings come and go. 2015, 2016, 2017. Each year the same conclusion. Too unstable. Risk of relapse. Continued commitment necessary. But each year, she seems incrementally more present. More Isabella, less Samantha. Staff members begin to know her as a person rather than a diagnosis. She's kind to other patients. She helps during meal preparation. She remembers people's names. One nurse, Deshonda Harris, finds her crying in the garden one afternoon. Isabella says nothing. Deshonda doesn't push. They sit together in silence. That silence becomes their ritual. Every Wednesday. Just sitting. Deshonda knows something. DeShonda Thompson, the prescribing psychiatrist, cannot quantify in a medical report. Chapter 9. The video surfaces on Reddit in March 2019. Someone's been holding it for years. Isabella in the police interrogation room, smiling while detectives describe crime scene photographs. The clip runs 43 seconds. Within hours, it's everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. The title reads, "Worst daughter ever smiles while cops describe her mother's death." Comments flood in. Thousands. Psychopath. Cold-blooded killer. Evil personified. Look at that smile. That's not remorse. That's pure evil. The internet builds a mythology. Forensic psychologists from their living rooms diagnose her without credentials. True crime podcasts dedicate 4-part series to the case. Conspiracy theories emerge. Was she possessed? Was she part of a cult? Did the boyfriend manipulate her? Nobody mentions schizophrenia in the viral comment sections. Nobody contextualizes the smile as a symptom rather than a confession of cruelty. The public sees what it wants to see. A girl smiling at the worst moment of her life, and they translate that smile into monstrosity. Local news picks up the story again. Reporters call the psychiatric facility. Dr. Thompson refuses comment. Privacy laws prohibit disclosure of patient information, but the court documents are public. Within 2 weeks, millions of people know Isabella Guzman's name. Her face becomes a meme. When you're caught. POV. You're about to regret everything. Her image is edited into horror films. Her smile is superimposed onto dictators and murderers. The internet has decided who she is. Nobody questions the verdict anymore. Nobody thinks about the psychiatric diagnosis. The smile is the only truth people believe. Somewhere in Pueblo, Isabella watches her own vilification unfold on a staff computer during supervised internet time. She sees her face. She reads the comments. Her therapist asks how she feels. Isabella doesn't answer. Chapter 10. Justice should mean something. The concept promises balance, punishment for wrongdoing, protection for victims, closure for families. But what happens when the wrongdoer's mind is the crime scene itself? Isabella Guzman was 18 years old when she experienced a psychotic break so severe that her brain rewrote reality. Her mother wasn't her mother. The world was ending. These beliefs felt as real to her as gravity feels to everyone else. Yet the internet needed her to be a villain. The trial and verdict didn't fit the narrative people craved. A sick girl receiving treatment complicated the morality. So the internet erased the context. It froze her image in the worst moment and called it evidence. Dr. Amelia Richardson, the psychiatrist from the initial evaluation, has spent 6 years watching this case mutate in public consciousness. She's written papers about how society processes mental illness through the lens of crime. She argues that when a person commits violence during active psychosis, we should ask different questions. Not how evil are they, but where was intervention? Isabella's family noticed changes when she was 14. Teachers reported behavioral shifts. A school counselor recommended psychiatric evaluation. Her mother was resistant. Embarrassment, stigma, fear of diagnosis. 3 years passed before anyone with credentials actually examined her. By then, the voices had convinced her that reality was false. By the time she understood what she'd done, her mother was dead. The legal system declared her not guilty by reason of insanity. A verdict that admitted the truth. Her mind was the enemy, not her character. But the internet doesn't traffic in nuance. It traffics in shock. It profits from outrage. A girl smiling in a police station became a symbol of everything people fear and don't understand. The real tragedy isn't visible in viral videos. It's in the years before. It's in the missed diagnosis. It's in the family struggling alone with a disease they couldn't name. It's in the broken mental health system that let a sick child spiral toward violence. It's in a society that would rather create monsters than admit that some of us are just sick. That's the story nobody shared. That's the truth the internet couldn't package into 30-second clips. Years from now, Isabella will leave the psychiatric facility. Medications will stabilize her further. Her doctors will declare her safe. She'll be released into a world that knows her as a viral image of evil. She'll struggle to find employment. She'll face harassment. She'll carry the weight of millions of people who saw her smile and decided who she was. The real justice isn't in the courtroom verdict. It's in asking ourselves why we chose to see a monster when we could have seen a person experiencing the most terrifying thing a human can endure: the complete dissolution of reality. Subscribe to stay updated on stories that reveal the complexities hidden beneath shocking headlines. Turn on notifications so you never miss an episode that challenges what you think you know about crime, justice, and the human mind. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe in second chances for the mentally ill? How should justice systems balance punishment with treatment? Your perspective matters. Tell us your story. Inspire others with what you've learned from cases like this one.